Welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, where we'll talk about reviews, previews, tips and all things betting related. Brought to you by bestsportsbetting.co.za. Now on to our hosts.
To the Best Sports Betting Podcast, episode 47. I am not flying solo today. I've got Simon with me, who's in South Africa. Simon, how are you doing? How was your flight?
Yeah, Rob, thank you very much. I'm very well. Speaking of flights, it was quite a short journey compared to my other journeys I've had between South Africa and the States. And this time the airline didn't make me late for any connecting flights or lose my bags, which is what happened last time. So I can't complain, and it's good to be back home.
And I'm sure you bumped yourself a nice little upgrade with some of the winnings that we got from Champions League last week.
Yeah, not quite enough to bump me up to business class, but it was a very successful punting weekend. It started with the Champions League, where we got a full house of winners, which included Juventus +1, which was my best bet, and then under 3.5 in Man City Liverpool, which was your best bet, Rob.
Yeah, and then I also ended up taking the Juventus Real Madrid game, both teams to score. I mean, it wasn't a great price. I think it was 13-20. So. Heartbreak there for Juventus. That was a bit of a shocker, really. Like a 95th minute penalty, and I'm not going to go too much in the detail, but I do feel that they were robbed a bit, especially.
But again, I agree with you, Rob. I was just going to say, sorry for interrupting you there. I was just going to say, again, this sort of approach that we've been using for quite a while now, and especially in Champions League, seems to be working really nicely. When a team does have little to play for, if you can get them on side at a decent price, especially as an underdog, I think it really pays its dues. It's a very profitable way to bet these games, I think.
Yeah, and the same goes with goals. So, I mean, you look at the Liverpool-Manchester game. I mean, as soon as Liverpool scored, that tie was done. It was finished. There was no motivation for either side, really.
Yes.
That's kind of what you're backing. And I'm not sure what quite the odds would have been on Liverpool just to score, but I'm sure you wouldn't have got very high odds. You'd maybe got 5 to 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you're basically backing, Liverpool to score, early on. So
and the fact that you were getting your 9 to 10 on a 3.5 instead of a 2.5 goal line is incredible value in that circumstance.
Exactly. And Super Rugby, bit of a mixed bag. Sharks were pretty poor, to be honest, and also, Premier League was also a bit of a mixed bag. Newcastle picked up a very unlikely win against Arsenal, who I discovered have not scored a single away point this entire season. They do not even have a draw away from home.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
I didn't know that. Just quickly going back to Super Rugby, I didn't really like much on the card, but I did fancy the Bulls, which came in nicely. With Sharks winning Bulls winning 40 to 10, But and the other game I liked was I thought that Arsenal would be troubled by Newcastle, but I liked the over 2.5 there, which came in nicely. But I didn't expect the Newcastle win there. But obviously as a Newcastle supporter, I'm very pleased to see them get the win, and very deservedly so too.
Yeah, definitely. And they're just going back, and they've literally got the worst record in the league as an away side. West Brom, who are probably the worst side in the Premier League, have 4 points on the road. Arsenal have 0.
What a way to give City the title as well, to lose to the worst team in the world. I mean, that is really not a good show for United.
No, but then again, they don't really have that much to play for anyway. The season's pretty much done. I mean, Sure, absolutely. And I mean, I did, any listeners who took my preseason advice to take City for the title would have got a nice 2-1 ticket cash nice and early there. So. Nice and early, lots of games in hand, and it's maybe a good time to start fading City as well. So
absolutely.
We want to consider. So while we're on the subject of the Premier League, let's have a quick look at some of the fixtures coming up for this weekend. And there's nothing really that catches my eye. There's a few decent ones on Sunday. We've got some midweek ones tonight. We're not really going to chat about because, it's not much value in my opinion. But so on Saturday we've got a very small fixture list where we've got West Brom against Liverpool, and we've got Watford against Crystal Palace. Now, what are your thoughts about the West Brom Liverpool game? I mean, Liverpool are going to have an eye on the Champions League semi-final. Do you think they're going to put everything into this game? I mean,
it's
1.5 to win. It's not great.
It isn't, and that's a game I did look at. And West Brom, this manager factor, I've never quite been able to work it out, but it is almost foolproof. And look at the way. Look, I mean, United were poor, but the fact, generally, almost 9 times out of 10, I'd say, when a new manager takes the helm, the team at least bounces back with, say, a draw against a very strong team. In this case, a win. But there generally is some improvement immediately. That might tail off to, a few games later. But I would certainly not be looking to get with Liverpool here because, West Brom just might have a little bit of life breathed into them. But at the same time, West Brom have been the poorest side this season. So it's not a game I'll touch, but I think that Liverpool are definitely too short there. But I can't bring myself to back West Brom, even on a double chance there. I can't. But definitely West Brom will pick up a few points before the end of the season, put it that way.
Yeah, still by a good day, but
yeah, absolutely.
Then another interesting one is the Arsenal-West Ham game. Now, Arsenal also, their season really hinges on the fact that they need to win the Europa League. And they're at home to West Ham, and 1.5 on Arsenal, I also feels a little bit short. I mean, West Ham have been playing pretty poorly, but they did manage to pick up a draw at Chelsea. So, is there some value backing West Ham there? I'm not sure. Arsenal have a very good record against them as well. So, I can't find too much value there. They 9-2 to win the game, West Ham. I don't quite like that. Even the double chance, 15-10, doesn't quite attract me. But that's where I would be leaning if I were to be taking a bet on that game. I would be looking to fade Arsenal. Just from a kind of, outsider's perspective. I don't see them putting out a full team against West Ham.
No, sure.
Yeah, there's not too much else going on. There's Stoke Burnley, Manchester City Swansea, another nothing game. Should win that one. A good one on Monday is Everton Newcastle. I think that's going to be quite an interesting fixture. Both teams playing fairly well. Everton maybe not as well as Newcastle, but Newcastle on a 4-game winning streak. Everton have only lost one of their last 5 games or something.
Yeah, they're definitely on a bit of an upturn at the moment for sure.
Yeah, and if Newcastle were to win that one, they'd actually leapfrog Everton. So, a lot of motivation there for Newcastle. Maybe even what's the Europa League 5 and 6? So there's no chance of them getting into the Europa League. But a top 10 finish would be pretty good.
For sure. There's one game that I like. It's actually kicking off this evening, and that is Burnley-Chelsea. Burnley on an impressive run of 5 consecutive wins. And I mean, I haven't done the research, but I would be surprised if that's not their best yet run as a club in the top division. And I think they can keep it tight against Chelsea, but there's quite an obscure market that I like for this bet, because I was toying with the halftime double chance, because I kind of think that Chelsea will probably get the better of them by the full 90 minutes. But I didn't like the halftime double chance because it's very short. But one market which I've never actually bet before, but which really intrigues me, and I think it's actually really good value for this match is either halftime or full time to be a draw. At 17-10 with Sportingbet.
Wow.
I think that's really nice, because I think that, there's a very good chance of this game being a draw at halftime. And look, the more likely result is probably a Chelsea win by the end, but could also very likely be a draw. Not very likely, but less likely, but still likely. So I think that either halftime or full time being a draw at 17-10 is pretty good. 17-10 is a pretty good price.
Pretty generous odds if you ask me, especially with Chelsea. They aren't exactly banging in the goals. So
and Burnley, as I said, on a 5-game winning streak, and Chelsea are tending to win games late. So I think that halftime draw is a good look, and I think if you've got it covered on both sides, for either halftime or full time being a draw, 17-10 is quite an appealing price.
Definitely, I quite like that one. And let's jump to a bit of Champions League next week, because I'm not sure if there's going to be a podcast, because I'm going to be away. So I might not be able to get one out, but we've got Liverpool Roma. I think we should have a quick chat about that one. Roma with a massive comeback against Barcelona, shocking them. I mean, there was a tweet from Sportingbet just before last week's Champions League fixtures, and it was basically all the favourites to win at a pretty short price. And myself and another person were were having a bit of a go and, saying, well, what's the opposite odds? And I think it was 187 to 1 if you were to back Juventus, Roma, City, and going against Bayern with Sevilla.
Yes.
And 3 of them came in. So, imagine if you'd had cash out sitting on that.
Absolutely. Or if you'd had a nice system bet, you would have cashed nicely.
Not that I would have done that. But anyway, going back to the Liverpool Roma game, I think this is going to be one-way traffic, but I don't like Liverpool at 5 to 10. I think that's pretty shitty odds.
I agree. I think that's not, those match markets don't appeal to me at all.
Yeah, and if I would look something there, I'd look at the over. Once again, the over-under, and I would actually go under 2.5 goals. You're getting, at places, you're getting 15 to 10 and under 2.5 goals. So, it looks pretty good value. It's a semi-final. Liverpool haven't been in a semi-final in a while. Both teams have been scoring goals, but I just think this is one of those matches where it's going to be a nervy semi-final. And I think all the semi-finals are going to be like this. So under 2.5 is going to be my bet there, and especially at around 15, 16 to 10. I think you're getting quite a bit of value, and it's worked for me so far in the Champions League. So I'm probably going to persist with that method.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I must say that I don't really like the look of anything there. I think that over is definitely a bit overpriced. I think the under at that price does look inflated, but nothing that really appeals to me too much there.
Okay, and then the other fixture, we've got Real Madrid against Bayern. It's Real Madrid Bayern. I'm right, yeah. And that's a bit of a dull fixture if you ask me. I'm not too excited about that one. I mean, how many times have we seen that matchup before? It's like it's nothing new. And the first leg Bayern are going to be playing at home. I expect them to pick up the win there. I think they're reasonably priced at around 11 to 10. So I won't look past that one. I think they'll win that one. I don't think there'll be too many goals in that one either. But my money is going to be on Bayern over there. Bayern are kind of side you'd expect to get the job done at home and then maybe struggle a little on the road. Whereas Real Madrid are just a wild card, in my opinion. You never really know what.
Yes, no, sure, definitely. Bayern a more predictable team, I think. But that 11 to 10 for the home, it looks about right to me. It doesn't excite me. I won't be running to back Bayern there, but it looks about right. So I don't really have a look there, I don't think.
Well, there's also some nice prices on Bayern to advance to the next round at the same price. So that actually might be better value over 2 legs to take them to advance to the next round. Whereas Real Madrid are only 7 to 10 to advance. So clearly the books are favouring Real Madrid, which I think is a bit unfair. Because
I agree. I think that should be about a pick 'em.
Yeah, because look, Sevilla have been a pretty good team. They knocked Man United out, and yes, Bayern might have struggled against them in the second leg, but that tie was done. So give me an experienced German side over a flamboyant kind of wild card Spanish side.
Sure.
I'll take Bayern all day. So yeah, enough about the football. Let's have a look at some of the Super Rugby this weekend. Is there anything that catches your fancies just straight off the bat?
There is. I really like the Reds plus the points this week. Obviously the Chiefs played a grueling Kiwi derby against the Hurricanes on the weekend, and now they make the trip to Queensland to face the Reds, who've won. They've only played 2 home games, but they've won both their home games on home soil this season. And the Chiefs have only beaten the Sunwolves and Blues away from home. So I mean, I think the Blues have proven to be one of the worst teams in Super Rugby this season, and obviously the Sunwolves are probably undoubtedly. So, I don't think the Reds are going to be a pushover here by any means, and I think 14.5 points is a little too big. So I'll definitely be siding with the home side.
Yeah, I would have that line more around 10. So I think, getting around 4 points there on my handicap. So
absolutely, and if I can see where this line comes from in a way, because when the Reds have lost to the Chiefs, it's been by at least 20 points, quite significant margins. But I think the Reds they're not an amazing team, but they're slightly improved on last season for sure. And I think 14.5 is a little too much. So and I see that's in some places moved already all the way down to 11.5. So I definitely like the 14.5, which is still available against the Chiefs. So yeah, I think that handicap, as you say, should be closer to 10 points. I'll take a few extra for sure.
Okay, then we have the Bulls Rebels, which I think the market has completely overreacted to. It's a bit ridiculous that you're giving the Rebels a 9.5, 10-point start there. They're not that bad. I mean, we've been pretty generous to them recently. They did lose to the Jaguars, but the Jaguars were at some point going to show up and put on a performance.
Yep.
But, it's difficult to predict this Bulls side. Are they really on the up or are they not? Look, they beat the Stormers. They've beaten a really poor Sharks side. So, for me, the Rebels are around the same as the Stormers, and they're better than the Sharks. So it's quite a difficult one to pick. But I do quite fancy the plus there. I do quite fancy plus 9.5 on the Rebels. But I'm not entirely convinced just yet.
Yeah,
the Bulls could win this 150-0.
They can, absolutely. But I must say, when I looked at that game, I would have picked it at 7 points. So it does look a little too big for me. I must say, some of these Super Rugby lines, they kind of are starting to remind me a bit of the NFL, where a team plays well once one week, and then all of a sudden, their whole history is suddenly all of a sudden forgotten. And, they're overreactions in the market. So it's actually quite nice. I think you can take advantage of by playing underdogs quite often in the last few weeks.
And then we've got the snooze fest in Durban, Sharks Stormers. Probably going to upset a lot of Sharks and Stormers fans with that, but Sharks coming in as favourites, which is a bit surprising. Fairly heavy favourites, 7-10, with the line being set at a fairly reasonable 2.5, 3 points. I can't pick a side there. I honestly think if you're going to pick a side there, take the side you like, take it 1-12. I think that's the only value you're going to find there. There might be some value taking unders, but I haven't seen too many lines for the actual over-under markets. So I'm not too excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot on this podcast about, the Stormers' poor away record. And I mean, I think that, I think that's been built into that line. I think it really has. So I think that, 1-12 would probably be a better look, but it's hard to really pick a winner there, I think.
And then, one game I do like is the Brumbies Jaguars. Now, the Brumbies are 5-10 at home against the Jaguars, which is, I think, a very generous line. And that's obviously to do with the Jaguars beating the Rebels. And they are on tour. This is their second match on tour, but you can get 5.5 on the Brumbies. And I do quite like that 5.5. I'm very much leaning towards that being my best bet. Mm-hmm. The Brumbies home record it's pretty competent. You look, they've beaten the Reds this season convincingly. They lost to the Waratahs in a close match. Can you blame them for that? Not really.
Yeah, sure.
They beat the Sharks by, I think it was 7 or 8 points. They lost to the Canes. Once again, you can't really believe that was last season's rather that they lost to the Canes. So they've got a fairly good home record, and the Jaguars are very poor on the road. Let's face it. They managed to beat the Rebels, yes. They only beat them by 3 points. I think the Brumbies are going to win this one quite easily. I think the line should be more around 7. So I think that's going to be my best Super Rugby bet for the week. Brumbies minus 5.5.
That definitely appeals to me as well, Rob. That looks like a decent line.
And it's on a Sunday morning, so you can get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and watch the game. So it's not going to be one of those 3, 4 o'clock jobs. Sure. Another interesting one is the Crusaders Sunwolves. Obviously, there's a monster handicap on this one. I mean, 40 points. Sorry, 38.5 points, Simon. That is just ridiculous. I have to take Sunwolves plus there. I can't go anywhere else. You're giving a team 38.5 points. It's unheard of. And generally in these situations, the underdog is going to cover.
Look, it has to be more than 50%. You did right, no doubt about it. But these kind of games are either when you see my handicaps like this, sometimes you can fall in love with them because you can just see they're like 7 points off or something, or there can be just complete stairways. I don't know. I don't even know how I'd handicap that match personally. So when I look at that number, I'm like, okay, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know where to start.
Like, let's look at the Sunwolves away from home this season. They lost 50-22 to the Sharks. Okay, that was a big loss.
So that's okay. They would have covered that.
Yeah, but they lost 40-38 to the Lions. The last time they played the Crusaders away from home, they lost 53, which still would have covered. And I think this Sunwolves team's a lot better, and I think this Crusaders team's a lot worse than it was last season. Which isn't saying much, but I just think that's way too big. The 53 wouldn't have covered the previous.
Yeah, and another thing you got to realize where you're getting value with underdog here is that the bookmaker is going to protect themselves big time. They'd much rather set a too big line than a too small line because they know they're not going to get that much Sunwolves money. So they're going to set the line lower than what the actual probability is because they want to be able to balance their book easier. So immediately you're getting value on the underdog because the book's trying to protect itself. So, if you're going to bet this game, there's no ways in hell you would ever bet. Even if you take a bet on the Crusaders and you win, well, good for you. But that's just really not a way to play this game. You got to play the plus or nothing. No doubt.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
This line is set against the punter if you're backing the favourite here.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
I mean, look, there might be some value in play if you see, look, it's going to be an absolute blowout. They've scored a couple quick tries in the first 10 minutes. Then yes, back the Crusaders in play on the minus. They'll probably end up winning by 50 if that were to occur. Yeah. But pre-match, I have to say, I have to go with a plus.
No, the way, absolutely. No, the way this match is set up, it's the bookmaker has to, as I said, they have to protect themselves. This line will much rather they'll set this line too big than too small for bookmaking purposes. So yeah, it's underdog or nothing there for me.
Yeah, definitely agree. And then on Friday we've got some interesting matches as well. Waratahs Lions, I think that's quite an exciting one. Waratahs obviously going to be favourite, but they're not heavily favoured there, which is quite interesting. I think it's 3 points. Let me just have a quick look. 1.5 point favourites. So, the Lions are bad. There's no beating around that bush. They're not good at all. Are the Waratahs good enough at home to beat them? I think so. You look at who the Waratahs have played this season. They haven't played any quality sides at home. But they've never lost to the Lions. And look, I'm going back years and years and years.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah,
it's one of those matches where I think it's going to be a fairly straightforward win for the Waratahs, and it's the Lions' first game on tour, which is also, something that you need to consider. And it's a 4-week tour, so it's probably going to get off to a pretty bad start against the Waratahs. I'm going to take the Waratahs on the line there, 7-10. I'm not going to get bothered with the handicap.
Yeah, look, the Lions have had 2 decent games, and all of a sudden it seems that all's forgotten. I think that the Waratahs should be slightly bigger favourites there.
Yeah, and then we've got a New Zealand little derby going on with the Blues and the Highlanders. With the Highlanders obviously going to be favourites there, 6.5 points. Tough call. I can't take the Blues plus 6.5, and I don't want to take the Highlanders on the minus 6.5 there. Yeah. Neither side has been overly impressive. Highlanders on the road have been pretty poor. They lost to the Canes, they lost to the Chiefs. Look, both fairly close games. But they haven't won a single away game this season, just looking at it now. So, could be some value taking the plus 6.5, but I don't trust this Blues line at all. No, I'm saying value-wise. I'm not touching anything.
For sure. No, I won't touch some of the barge ball, honestly.
Yeah, just not looking good. Is there anything else you want to chat about before we're moving to our best bets?
That's the one I drop. It's the Monte Carlo Masters on at the moment, which is sort of one of the most high profile ATP 1000 clay court event. Obviously besides the Roland Garros, which is a Grand Slam. But I'll try to tweet out some picks there if I have time during the action.
Okay, and then just one thing I wanted to bring up. G-Bets have a pretty good promotion going on at the moment, and we've posted it up on BSB. They've got a 30,000 Rand deposit match. So basically what that means is your first deposit up to 10k is going to be 125% match up to 10,000 Rand. Your second deposit is 100% match up to 10,000 Rand. Your third deposit is a 75% match. And your fourth deposit is 150% match up to 10,000. So it's actually 40,000 Rand in bonuses, not 30,000. That's pretty good offer, don't you think, Simon?
Wow, that is awesome. And what is the turnover on that?
There's probably pretty high turnover. You're probably looking at 10 times at like 9 to 10 or more, something like that. But regardless, you're getting a hell of a lot of value for your money at G-Bets, who have improved a lot recently. We've been chatting to them, and they were pretty bad in the past. Some of those emails, and we miss you every single week saying the same thing. Pretty bad, but they have moved on quite nicely, and it looks like they are taking themselves a bit more seriously. So credit to them. I just thought I'd mention that on the podcast for anyone looking for a nice big bonus. All right, best bet for the week, Simon. What you going to be taking?
I'm going to take the Reds. As I said, I think this line should be closer to 10 points. they've won both their home games, be it against not amazingly strong sides. But I think that 14.5 is a big number for the Chiefs to cover. So that'll be my best bet of the weekend.
Okay, well, my best bet's going to be the Brumbies minus 5.5 against the Jaguares or the Puma, whatever you want to call the Argentinian side. So that's where my money's going to be going. I think it's pretty good value. And we'll see you next week if there's going to be a podcast. There might be a solo one. I'll see what's going to be happening.
All right.
And, if there's going to be one, then we'll definitely get one up. I'll just see if we can both get our schedules aligned. But guys,
Brilliant.
Have a good one. Simon, enjoy your time in SA, and we'll chat to you soon. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. And don't forget to visit our site, Facebook and Twitter pages. Let's go make some money.